Hello everyone, The Nerdy Steve here, and today I will be featuring a blue-white control deck in Standard. The list is in the description below. I'm going to talk a little bit about the plan of the deck, and then we'll play a couple of games. So, let's go. At its very basic core, control decks want to one-for-one your opponent's cards early to stabilize the game, so where our card advantage engines can set us up to win a long-term plan or a long-term game. So we want to use stuff like Spell Pierce and March of Otherworldly Light and Fateful Absence to, kill our opponent's things early on and to, fend off some threats. So that's why we have, cheap counter magic and removal. And then when we get to like the later game, we have Teferi, the Celestus, the Wandering Emperor, and Memory Deluge to give us that card filtering or threats over a long time that we can then use to win the game. And that's kind of the basic idea. And also with control decks, and specifically in a best of one context, it is important to note that with not knowing the meta game and not being able to sideboard, some of your cards are going to be a little less than effective than normal. Fateful Absence might not be really, really good against other control decks, right? We'd rather probably have another counter spell or something. Or against very aggressive strategies, maybe we don't want Dissipate. We'd want another March or something. And because we're playing the best of one environment, that's just something we have to accept, and that's okay. The Celestus is very, very good at discarding cards that aren't ideal, so that's a really good benefit of having that in here. But, we also have Dennick and Unlicensed Hearse as graveyard hate because I expect different graveyard cards like the Cruelty of Gix Reanimator deck to be fairly popular, and I think having some type of cheap interaction or ways to prevent it from happening is very, very important. We also have Farewell, and this is a card that I only have two of now, but I could see maybe after all these games going up a lot of our plan with this deck is going to be, you know, surviving until we can board wipe our opponent's Farewell while we have a Teferi or the Wandering Emperor, so that we can just really start that advantage right away. Or not right away, but we can start gaining a lot of advantage after a complete board wipe, but still having stuff on the battlefield. And before we play games, I am slightly scared of Liliana of the Veil. I don't know how popular she's going to be, if we're going to see her a lot, but that is a card I'm aware of. And that type of card is normally very good against control strategies. But that's kind of why we have Wedding Announcement and Wandering Emperor, so we can actually apply some type of pressure to the board very early on, and so Liliana just can't uptick indefinitely to destroy our hand and then destroy our board. But with all that being said, we'll just go and play and see how the games turn out. So, let's go. Okay, we go first, and we'll keep this. We have the Make Disappear to counter something going from turn 2 onwards. We might as well just Reckoner Bankbuster out. I think this is fine, because I think 3 mana's the turn we are really, really scared of, because we can counter the Liliana now. Our opponent also has Bankbuster, so they might be a more control mono black deck, if that's what we're seeing here. Graveyard Trespasser. I think I'm fine with that. We can draw here. Oh, I should have waited. Our opponent's probably going to animate it and attack, but I think we're fine. It wouldn't have done anything anyway. Probably. So now we're in a less than enviable position. But I am going to Wandering Emperor to exile it. We have to discard a card for Ward.
Run away. You'll
which is, you know, not great, but what are you gonna do?
My judgment is fine.
And then I think we're kind of fine here. Let's plus so we can make the samurai next turn.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
But again, not necessarily a terrible spot. We do want... we would love a Teferi, right? Our opponent has to discard here. So we'll do this. We'll make a samurai.
Guards, to me.
Cut down. That's fine. I think I'm fine with that, right? Our opponent is mono black, so I am a little worried about invoke. If our opponent does that, let's do this. The crew. Yeah, we're taking damage here, but that's fine. I think we're okay with this for now. Maybe we shouldn't be. But, like, we can take some damage. And our Bankbuster's now pretty, like, a pretty big threat. Our opponent will gain life, though. But we're fine. Maybe we should have Fateful Absence, though. It gives us some life. And would have stopped our opponent from gaining some life. Because we know we're going to Fateful Absence Shieldred here when our opponent attacks. But maybe we should have just realized that. Yeah. I think that may have been a mistake. Okay. Because I was trying to save it, but I knew I probably was going to do it anyway, so there's no point in trying to save it, right? We'll counter that. And then... True. With another counter.
Strike fast and strike hard.
That's a lot. And now we're good. We get to Memory Deluge if our opponent... Our opponent's stuck on 4 lands, which is unfortunate for them. I don't feel bad, but... You know, other people might.
Home, and I don't appreciate it when people touch my things.
And again, Liliana isn't particularly great here, so we're fine. But while we wait, if you haven't already, you should totally like, comment, and subscribe. I figured that's a way I could, you know, say that while we're waiting for our opponent to do stuff. Let's get rid of a pilot. Because we can still Wandering Emperor plus the Dennick. Our opponent has cut down here. So I think what I'm going to do here is cast the Wandering Emperor. Wait, what one just entered the battlefield? Alright.
I'm going
To plus it. And this will stop the cut down from triggering. Let's Memory Deluge. We'll make a token.
Keep watch for intruders.
I think we want to kill the Liliana here. And then we're
This was a
good.
waste of time.
If our opponent plays a land, then invoke, we're not going to be happy with that. Alright, but our opponent is probably trying to find a land with the clue. Alright. Tenacious Underdog. Okay. Ooh. That's really good. So we will do that.
I have got new
Through
ways
it.
to teach you.
And then we get to Teferi. We can tap. Or
Give me a moment.
opponent goes to 2 now. Go. Right? I think we're fine. I think we're fine. Because the Tenacious Underdog cannot kill either Teferi or Wandering Emperor. We might be a little afraid of Meathook Massacre for 4. That's probably the worst thing that could happen, and that's okay. Let's get double wedding announcement. GG. Oh, we also had lethal there, so that helps too. Okay. Okay, we go first. We have... this is a little slow of a hand because, again, we have mana and stuff to cast, but on turn 3, we don't have any interaction early, specifically turn 2. And on turn 3, we're gonna play Wedding Announcement or Dissipate, right? And we can't do both. We're probably gonna Wedding Announcement, though, because we want to get something going. And Wedding Announcement will allow our Wandering Emperor to be a little better. And now we can then Dissipate, keep Dissipate up, which is, like, relatively fine. I'm not, like, the happiest person about how these turns went, but, you know, could be worse. But the important thing, too, is we do have Farewell, and I stated in the intro, right? We can now try to play to have a really, really good Farewell. I didn't want another one. That's not what I wanted, so I'm sorry if the game misheard me. But we can now try and make it so that we can Farewell away all creatures, right? So we can keep a Wedding Announcement and the Wandering Emperor, right? So that is something we want to do and keep in the back of our heads as we, you know, navigate the next couple of turns, because it's going to inform, like, we can let a creature that we might particularly not like or not want to resolve, because we can farewell it away. We don't have to dissipate a creature if we don't want to, right? Our opponent might be on Joda. I'm not entirely sure what to expect here. So if our opponent is saying go, I kind of want to just Wandering Emperor out and see what is happening. I mean, like, Inferno? Something that, like, deal 7 damage, then kill the Wedding Festivity would be bad. A joint exploration? Okay. I have no idea what's going on here. And that's also part of the fun part of being of a control deck in this type of environment. You really have to be on your toes because you have no idea what's going on and what to play around. This is making me, though,
Run away.
since I have no idea what our opponent is doing, I really want to keep up counter magic now. So and try to end this game as quickly as I possibly can. Okay. So I'm gonna make disappear this because we know it will counter what our opponent's doing here. But that might have been wrong. We could have maybe Fateful Absenced it.
Strike fast.
We actually probably should have Fateful Absenced it. And because that will... We don't care about giving our opponent a clue to draw a card because it means they're, like, not casting spells or anything, right? And now I'm a little sad. But no, we can do this because if our opponent draws cards, right, and taps out, we're fine. We can do this. And, like, yeah. GG. Okay. Whew. Okay, again, nothing to do until turn 3. But we do have Wedding Announcement and March. So, yay for that. Wedding Announcement and the Wandering Emperor. But now we have March of Otherworldly Light. I think we're fine here, not doing anything. I'm not sure, though. Is our opponent? Alright. Interesting. Part of me... I don't know. I don't know if I should have or shouldn't have done anything there. But we can Celestus now. And we can still March, exiling Wandering Emperor to kill a Beast Caller if we really, really want to. Okay, and that's probably what I'm gonna do here. I don't want to take all of this damage. Because this is a lot of damage. A lot of damage. And now, I have to figure out what I want to do, right? Wedding Announcement seems like it will be very, very slow. We're going to be taking a lot of damage. So I think we can just wait. And we can use the Wandering Emperor to exile the Beast Caller. And gain some life. Which might stem the bleeding a little bit. Yeah. So that's exactly what we will be doing.
Now you've done it. That's come along. I am almost sad to see you go.
And our opponent... Alright, I was like, missed another land drop, but didn't there. I think... we need to make a Samurai here.
See you later.
And then we'll Wedding Announcement. And now we'll see what's going on. We kind of really want a Farewell, though. Alright? That seems ideal. This does not seem ideal for us. One... If our hope is Wedding Announcement, then we might as well just prevent as much damage as we possibly can. And, you know, thin our deck a little bit. Unless our opponent can lightning strike us, and then I'll be very, very sad. I'm very, very sad, everyone. Oh. Well, it wasn't up here, so we will concede. GG. Okay. We will keep. It looks like our opponent might be on a very similar deck. So we'll see. Please don't wedding announcement. Alright. So now it is the control versus control. We have a couple lands, so we can wait a little bit. Our opponent missed a land drop. So that's very good for us. Oh. Maybe they're white-blue tempo? They're not white-blue control, which I thought. Are they gonna try and do, like, what, combat training onto it? Interesting. I have no idea what to expect here. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to player, it connives. Okay. Flip out the back, so we then try to march it. Alright, beautiful. Let's... GG. So we want to start with an island here, so we have Spell Pierce up. And then we can follow that with the Make Disappear, and then we have March for really anything. So we're in a fairly good spot, I think. Of course, it really depends on what our opponent is doing and planning on it. Because, so, you know, we lost that game before against the aggressive deck, and that's one of the problems I talked about is in a best-of-one environment, right? Sometimes it just... If your deck isn't really anti-aggro, then the aggro decks have ways to really get under you. And while we can be aggressive start sometimes, it's just... Sometimes it's not going to happen. So... Now... Want to do this. However, we are running into a problem, right, where Spell Pierce now isn't going to really do a lot against what our opponent is doing. Thankfully it will. Didn't think it was. But we just, our hand is very bad. And we really need a Teferi or a Memory Deluge or the Celestus, right? If we're gonna really have a chance now. Because we've kind of done the 1v1 stuff, but we don't have a lot of we don't have the ways to, like, get back
Anyone
into
who
this
harms
game
my
or, you know,
people must
overcome the
pay
1v1
tribute.
plan.
Guards, to me.
Like, that's just not... That's not good for us. Our opponent has any removal we want to cry.
I have got new moves to teach you.
Okay. Cycling. You know, there... Maybe I should have made another samurai there instead of plussing that. It gives us a little more insurance against our opponent having removal, and I think that was probably the correct thing to do. You know, I
Until
really
next
was,
time,
like,
then.
hyper focusing on, oh, dealing more damage and, you know, making it, cut down proof, I think, but it wasn't worth it. We should have just gotten the value out of the Wandering Emperor while we could. And, yeah, we set ourselves up to a really, really bad spot. And that's one of the things, too, that I have, problems with sometimes, so don't make the same mistake that I did, is a lot of times it's very, very easy to look several turns ahead. That was a really good draw. A lot of times it's very, very easy to look several turns ahead and go, okay, if I do this and this, it's going to turn out really, really well for us. And you focus on that idealistic game plan a couple turns down. But, you know, you could have maybe done something a lot better that your opponent, if they have interaction with, you're still much good. But because you went down the idealistic path, if your opponent has anything, you're much worse off, right? And that's something that's very, very easy to look at and focus on, and that's what happened there. I should have gotten the advantage from the Wandering Emperor while I could, and I didn't, and here we are. But thankfully we drew the Memory Deluge, and this will do a lot of good for us, so... Alright. So what are we getting here? I mean, double Reckoner Bankbuster isn't the worst. It's not the best. Yeah, we'll do this. We won't Memory Deluge here, and maybe this is bad. But we still get to use up all of our mana this way, and we will draw more cards. And having the Bankbusters out is going to be pretty good, I think. Though maybe the Memory Deluge could have actually found us the farewell that we really probably want in this situation. We're very, very lucky our opponent didn't Titan of Industry. Their Titan of Industry would have been really, really good to kill one of our Bankbusters, give it indestructible or something. Another Jaya, that's hot.
I remember my first fight. Good thing it wasn't against me. Taught them everything they know.
End turn. And now we just have to figure out what's exactly going on here. Wandering Emperor, I'm going to exile a Blood Tithe Harvester here. We could make a 2-2 to block, but that 2-2 then can get cut down so we don't kill a Harvester. This ensures that we get rid of a Harvester and we gain life. And then I'm going to use the Wandering Emperor to make a Samurai if it does become our turn. And we still get to use the Reckoner Bankbusters, right? Ooh, that Teferi is really, really good. Because now we can Bankbuster. Then we can Teferi.
Someone call for a hero?
Who will untap that, tap the Blood Tithe Harvester, and untap an island of ours. And we can crew and attack the Jaya.
I got some time.
So we can get rid of her. Our opponent could still have removal for it, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm fine with that. Voltage Surge. Let's counter it. That seems beautiful. Alright, we got rid of Jaya. Let's put
Now
a
you can
counter
tell everyone
on
you beat the Jaya Ballad.
the pilot. And then we can say go.
Remember your training.
Okay, we may have stabilized a little bit. A Titan of Industry is still bad. But we do have, you know, we have a lot of lands. We have Teferi going, the Wandering Emperor. Like, we're fine. So actually what I want to do here is get rid of the Harvester. So both our Planeswalkers live. We do give our opponent a clue. We could have also Bankbustered, creating a pilot to block. But I think I'm fine here. I don't know, that's interesting. Maybe I'm regretting that now. I don't think I am. Well, I think we're really, really set up to do very wonderful things right now. Riveter's Outlook. Oh, that's really cool with Lord Windgrace, right? Okay. So we will do what we kind of did last turn. We can
And some think time only flows in one.
do that, and then we can untap, untap, untap,
Give me a
crew again.
or a few.
GG. Well, everyone, thank you for watching me play some Blue-White Control in Standard. This deck was actually surprisingly good. I didn't have that much faith in it going forward, but I really, really liked it. I think it's really, really good if you expect to play around a lot of these more mid-range type decks that, you know, aren't going to be very, very aggressive, right? Because it gives you the time to set up this game plan and interact with those decks on how you want to interact with them. If you see a lot more aggressive strategies, it might be important to maybe add another March of the Otherworldly Light and maybe another Dennick or two. Dennick is really good because, you know, it can stop Graveyard Trespasser from, you know, dealing a lot more damage and gaining life, and some other graveyard shenanigans going on. But it's also a 2/3 body that has lifelink, so it can block very well. And it's also really good with the Wandering Emperor if that happens, or the +1/+1 from Wedding Announcement. So that might be something there. And I'm sure there are other white-blue cards against aggressive decks that you can sideboard into or change in the main deck. So, this deck definitely has potential to be changed into be good against what you're seeing in the metagame. But no, it was great. It was fun, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a blast. I loved it. And yeah, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. Great ways to help support me in the channel. Watch me play live at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. I just got to Mythic in Limited, so I'm going to be trying to get to Mythic in Constructed now. So you could watch me go on that journey. But yeah, with all that being said, again, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.